Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Teaching. Today, we're back again with part 2 with our guest, Ramona. Woo! Hey, yeah. Ramona, we gave her a nickname, Unstoppable. You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Tori, I'll let you kind of give the people a refresher.
So, if you guys haven't listened to part 1 with Ramona Slaughter, you need to go back.
Crazy. Stop right now and go back and listen to it.
Yes, for real. She talks about her story about this past COVID year. But I really want to hop into ISS because you and I had a great conversation with another teacher that actually I've got to get on.
Before we do that, Tori, because some people probably saw or heard us say, go back and listen to it. No. She's a warrior, right? Yes. She's been bitten. And I'm not talking about like a little second grader bite. I'm talking about like middle schooler, locked on, like a pit bull, got her thumb broke. Yep. Like she's been through the fire.
And acted like nothing happened.
Oh, yeah, she's gangster. So, again, if you haven't seen part 1.
Like, she looks all like sweet and bubbly and like giggles, but no.
She's gangster. Yeah, all she needs now is some tats in her neck. I promise you. She's
Might be the next step. Might be the next step.
She's got educational street.
No regrets.
No regrets. She's got educational street cred. You hear me? Like she's known in these hallway streets, right?
Yes.
But no, really, if you haven't, check it out. But a lot of our listeners, they listen to everyone. So take it from there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we had a really great conversation about ISS. So if you didn't go back and listen, I'm still going to tell you to go back and listen. But for those of you that did listen, just a reminder, Ramona did work in ISS. And then you transitioned out once COVID hit. And then you're still kind of training the next person coming in.
Yeah, working with her to help her. So ISS, when I first came to our school, ISS looked very different than when I took ISS over.
Yes.
The kids didn't mind going to ISS. So like you get a consequence. What's the point? I get to go and sit on my phone. I can go take a nap. I can just go do whatever. And that doesn't work for me. Right. Because again, I'll say it again, like I said in part 1, behaviors trump academics. We cannot have successful academic classrooms if we have behaviors in the way. So I'm like, this doesn't work for me. So I approached my admin and was like, I would love to shift into this role. I think I could do something with it.
Yes.
And my admin was like, okay. And I'll never forget when it was announced that I was shifting into that. Everybody was like, well, sad for our special ed world, but like hot dog for the rest of the school.
Right.
Yes.
And so I went in there and I was like, all right, we're starting from the ground up in here.
Yep.
So you don't get to keep your phones. You're turning your phones into me. You don't get to have your book bag where you can just do whatever. It's going to be by the front of the room, and you're going to learn to ask some permission. Like, we're going to go back kind of to the basics. So you're going to ask permission because, number one, some of your conversational skills are lacking. Number 2, some of you have never had to ask permission to do something. So we're gonna go back. And I don't believe that in ISS, the academics should be the most important thing. I don't. And not everybody agrees with me. Like, I wanted teachers to submit work, and we would try to get through it.
But I didn't care.
But that was not my push.
Right.
My push was, I'm going to have a conversation with you, and we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about the tough things. We're going to talk about why you think it's okay to stand up and shout profanity in your teacher's classroom.
Right.
We're going to talk about why you think it's okay to put your hands on another human being. Your math is going to wait because we're going to have this conversation. You're going to leave my room a better person than when you came. Whether you like it or not, that's what's going to happen. And they knew. It's not that I had crazy expectations, but all the kids coming into my room knew these are her expectations, and she doesn't move them at all. So I just was able to rebuild it and focus more on building relationships with kids. And I think that was one of the most beautiful things that came from there was there were so many kids who got to this point where it was, can I have a pass to go talk to Miss Slaughter? Can I have a pass to just go sit with Miss Slaughter for a few? And it wasn't because they got to come in here and do great things. It was because they knew that was that space that they could say whatever they wanted to do. I did a thing with kids called a brain dump. And it's a sheet of paper, and it has a thought bubble. And on the top, it says, you write every thought in your head for the next 5 minutes.
Wow.
No penalties for profanity. No penalty. Like, you write what you get it out. I need you to get everything here out of the way. And so kids would come in there and they're like, I just need to do a brain dump. And they knew. They would hand it. I would hand them the paper. I'd set my timer. They'd write. And I mean, they would write their stuff out.
Can we talk about the fact that is hitting academics?
It was. It was. Yeah. And they would write, and they would write. And then we got to this point where they would hand it to me, and I could look at the things that were bothering them. And we could work through things, and I could be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this? Your socks don't match today. Is that like end of the world?
Right.
No? Okay. You and your mom fought this morning. Scale of 1 to 10. I get where that's going to kind of make your day tough.
Right.
So we could do those things. I had a kid who would come just to shred paper in my paper shredder because he just needed that mindless task to reset after being on for so long during the day. Yeah. So ISS couldn't be about the academics. Not that the academics aren't important, but we had to focus on some of these other things.
I think that's something that educators can do on the reg.
Yeah.
You know, because we talk often about, tossing the ball around. Ryan's talked about that for years. And when they get the ball, they're able to say what they're looking forward to this week and what happened. But just coming in on a Monday saying, hey, let's do a brain dump.
Yeah.
Let's all recalibrate and kind of see where you're at. And you get extra credit for doing this and being truthful.
Yeah.
And no one will see it, saying, except for me or whatever. And there's no penalties. I think that just for the average student would be refreshing because it's also a sense of therapy in a sense to release it.
Right.
There might not be anybody specific that they can talk to, but if they can at least just kind of get it out.
And that's they've got to get that block out of the way. And that's what that brain dump was. Get that block out of your way. So we can, because even as an adult, I need those things too.
Yeah.
I need that moment to be able to go, I got to get all this clutter out.
I think though also that it does create a bond between you and them, right? Like you are so understanding of why then they're acting the way that we are. We know that there is always a why behind someone's behavior, always. And so until we see that why, it just looks like they're acting out and they're acting irrationally.
Right.
But if we can see the why, if we can understand the why, anyone, not just kids, anyone is acting the way that they are, right? Like, for instance, I'm just going to go there. The looting that people talked about and saw during all the protesting that happened last year. Some people don't understand some of it.
Right.
And I think that all of the protesting, some people don't understand all of it. But if you understand the why behind it, it can help a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And does it always excuse the behavior? No.
Just understand why.
Right. Yeah. We're not saying the behavior's okay.
No.
But we're saying there's a function behind it.
Yeah. If a kid comes in and he's lashing out or he's putting his hands on somebody else or he doesn't want to respond or he's nonverbal, like there's a reason why. He didn't just wake up and say, today I'm going to do this.
Today I'm going to be
There's
this way.
something else going on inside the world
Right.
that's obviously, something that's been rising or bubbling over and they're having a hard time kind of processing. They said the human brain is not even fully developed until the ages of like 20, 21.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine a 8, 9, 13, 14, 16-year-old that's still trying to process some things
Right.
Yeah.
that they really should not have to live through and experience in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think that's refreshing. Okay, brain dump, get it all out. Now we can move forward.
And we would have kids that, the first half of the day, we got nothing done. And they knew that was okay. They knew that I was going to keep presenting the material. And I made you accountable for it. Like, you're going to sign that you didn't get this done. I'm not saying that that's a terrible thing, but you're going to own the choices we made in here today. So presenting them that opportunity to own their stuff was major. Not you come into my room and it's Sergeant Slaughter and it's my way or the highway. It felt that way to many kids, but once they got to know me,
Sergeant Slaughter.
that's what. Listen, I have the perfect last name for education. Okay,
For ISS especially.
Yeah.
So
We're sending you to Sergeant Slaughter.
I got to go to the slaughterhouse. Yeah, you're right. Get in there.
Slaughterhouse. That's so good.
So many things. I'm telling you, perfect for education.
Wow.
So I love my husband and all, but that might be one of the biggest reasons why I married him.
That's how you can get your thumb broken, get bitten, and not move or skip a beat.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because
you're like, I'm from the slaughterhouse.
I'm built different,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what it is.
Next, let's go. I'm sorry, my brain too loud. Yes,
So
I love it.
we went through these. where it was like, listen, okay, don't do it.
Yeah.
There's a consequence for you not doing it. You're not going to have it and be prepared, but don't do it.
Right.
I mean, and there were just some kids who made the choice that they didn't care. And until they could realize that's your choice, but I care for you. So they needed that person who was going to care and be their champion in their corner. And I think that's what those kids have learned with me, is that Miss Slaughter is going to be in your corner, and I will defend and I will protect those babies, even when it doesn't make sense to others.
Yep.
And so,
because someone needs to.
That's what they need.
Someone needs to be their advocate, and someone needs, they just need love. Most of them that come down there, they're just looking for attention and love and someone to notice them most of the time.
Right. Well, and a lot of kids would be like, oh, you're a lot like my mom. Or I had one kid broke my heart. I wish my mom was like that. What you mean, baby? Well, I mean, my mom works a lot, so I wish sometimes that she would say, like, knock it off. You're not going to come down here. You're going to eat dinner with me. You're going to have a conversation with me. Because that was a big thing, like at lunch, like, I'm going to talk to y'all during your lunch. You're going to learn how to have a conversation. And so they just needed that. And I think that they got that. And so this past, when I was transitioning out of ISS, the Office of Student Discipline, they contacted me and they were like, hey, we want to look at some effective ISS coordinators because we want to revamp ISS countywide. So will you serve on this team? Yeah, absolutely, because it needs to be revamped. So I worked with 2 other middle school ISS coordinators, and that was our biggest thing, was relationship over the academics. Give them that safe space. Give them the opportunity to be a leader. I don't know how many times in my room I'm like, hey, you're good at math. 8th grader, 6th grader, not good at math. Can you work with him on his math? And gave them those opportunities to lead where they don't get them in the classroom because some teachers don't want to take the risk on that behavior kid being the leader. So give them that opportunity. It just became a place of working on relationships, working on skills to cope with our anxiety, to cope with our frustration. So when we're back in our classroom, we're not turning over desks and screaming profanities, but instead, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to doodle. I'm going to take a minute and independently do a brain dump and then rip it up. I'm going to independently know that I need to go and ask for a break to go do water or go get water or whatever. So it was working on those pieces, less academic.
And the social emotional side, which we really don't focus on enough. Especially in our county, I feel like. And I feel like they're working on getting there.
I think they're trying. I think they're taking great steps.
And I think that it's not just needed for those kids. It's needed for all kids because some kids are just holding it all inside and can sit there silently and not flip a desk and then one day just lose it.
Right.
And because they've been holding it in for so long. And so it has got to be something that we implement within our classrooms as well, not just once a week in advisement. Not just once a week in advisement.
No, it's got to be a daily thing. I think the problem with a lot of our kids is that it's this go.
Right.
Beyond. And for the teachers as well.
Yeah.
And they need that moment just to
breathe,
not beyond.
So when you talk about SEL and social emotional learning and that whole aspect, you know where my brain instantly went. There are some schools that have our curriculum. We have a next level students SEL curriculum. It pairs perfectly as well with PBIS, right? And so there are some schools that's like, we'll just use this advisory just at that 30 minutes once a week. And there's some schools that's like, we need these kids to get this every single day.
Yeah.
And that's what we suggest. It's set up to where you can customize it to your liking, but we recommend like you get this in their spirit and their mindsets daily, not just at the start of the week.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Because again, when you take care of that, when you get all of those other obstacles out of the way, you will see them thrive academically. Absolutely. I've watched it time and time again. You get to see these babies thrive, and that's why we do what we do. We want to see these kids thrive. So the county has now looked into implementing some great new pieces.
Good.
Looking into doing like the restorative practices in the room.
Good.
It to go less from being a discipline
Punitive
jail type
Yes, thank you.
Right.
environment
Right.
to being more of a let's work on how we better ourselves through this.
Yeah.
I wish that was around when I was
Right?
coming up.
Yeah.
So what do you wish? What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got into education?
Everything is not black and white.
Yeah.
I wish I had known that earlier on and been able to see earlier on that everything is not so black and white,
Right.
and that what works, and I guess growing up, I always thought equal meant the same, but equal and equitable are two different
Yes,
things.
absolutely.
And I think people try to focus on the equal, but I've got to look at more of what's equitable.
Yeah.
So what works for you isn't going to work for you. And what I give you is going to look different. But guess what? At the end of the day, you both are going to end up at the next level because I've given you what you need to be successful. And I think for me, if I could have latched onto that earlier on when I'd first started in education, I think things would have been a little different.
And I think that they push so hard for that when it comes to academics, right? Differentiation. Are you differentiating your learning, right? Okay, but why and even things like IEPs, 504s, okay. And if they have a BIP, right, a behavior intervention plan, then they'll get that differentiation. But what about the kids that don't have a BIP? What about the kids that don't have a 504 and IEP?
Right.
The
It's going
ones
right
that
over their
just,
head.
yes, the ones that just, they need differentiation in a non-academic form, right?
Right.
Like our kids. So I've been thinking a lot about, like, I'm ADHD. So I've been thinking a lot about that recently. There are plenty of kids that are out there that are not diagnosed. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 18.
Wow.
I went through all of my education except for college, unmedicated, undiagnosed.
Right.
And I saw how teachers treated me differently based off of it. And it's some in a good way and some in a bad way, right?
Right.
And I think that if we really look at kids and we say, okay, I recognize that this is something that they're struggling with. I need to pay attention to that and differentiate to that, not in an academic way, but in a social and emotional, in a this is who they are as a person kind of way. It's not picking favorites. It's not. It's doing the right thing.
Right. For each child.
Right.
Not for the whole class, for each child.
And that takes a special type of educator to have the bandwidth to be able to navigate that space. And then they even have the emotional intelligence and awareness to even see this person needs something special.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when the county and the school and the district is saying, you got to go through this, you got to have this done within this time frame. They're probably looking and seeing, I've got all these different kids. Some are thriving, some are struggling, some are barely getting by. How do I even put that together to be able to connect with them? Like, it takes a special because the system isn't set up like that.
And I think that's the hard part is that teachers are so constrained by, you've got to hit A, B, C, and D, and you've got to be able to, we've got to move through this, and
they think it's black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But you're like, it's actually 50 shades of gray.
it is.
Stop it, sir. That is not school appropriate.
He totally meant the school appropriate version.
That's it.
I totally knew
the
that.
PG teacher version.
But it is one of those that, and you don't have the time to deal with that. So that was my, like, all right, I'm going to be getting these babies who need that little bit more. So I'll do it because I have the time. I've got all day with these babies. I've got the time. I'll do it. But I wish that teachers didn't have to be so constrained by hitting A, B, C, D and getting through this where they could.
And I think we also, as teachers, just have to say, bump it sometimes. Shut the door. Say, okay, as a curriculum group or as a county or whatever, okay, this is what you want me to do? Okay.
Yeah.
But then you shut that door, and what happens behind your door? You do what you need to get done. Because as we said,
Tori's the rebel.
No,
You're
I
the
am.
gangster, Tori's the rebel.
I am. I don't
I
care.
love
It's totally with a cause, though. She's
Absolutely.
a rebel with
For
a
sure.
cause.
And
For
that's
sure.
the thing. But that is exactly what we were talking about, that the behavior has to come before the academics. And we've talked about this so many times, Jay, that like if you can get them on your side behaviorally, then the academics will actually come faster and better. And so if we are willing to close the door sometimes and say, bump it to the lesson plan for the day that you're supposed to be doing as a whole curriculum team, because you know that that's not what your kids need, because hello, you want me to differentiate? Okay, I'll differentiate.
Right. I'm going to differentiate from the whole system.
Thing.
But then I can sit here and crank out some great scores because I have differentiated to what my kids need.
Right. And you're doing what's necessary for the kids.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being a robot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they will say it's black and white. You're like, oh, absolutely, Principal Song. Black and white. You close the door. All right, charcoal gray.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know
Y'all, today we're in agreeable gray, whether you like it or not. It's agreeable gray. Let's go.
I love it.
And that's just what we have to do. And that's what I had to do behind those doors was it's not going to be your punitive discipline room.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to a first-year teacher, first or second-year teacher, somebody just getting running?
Give yourself grace and know that you don't know everything.
That would apply for a teacher in year 10 and 22, huh?
But even going into it, it's like, I just
graduated.
I just finished this. I got it. I've got everything. Oof, the Lord has a good way of humbling you real quick, quick to show you don't know. Right. So give yourself grace and know that you're not going to know everything, and to find you a veteran teacher that you can lean on. Yeah. You need that at work. You have to have your person at work.
Right.
Yep.
And that's not just like, I'm going to naturally gravitate. You feel like a conversation should be had.
Yes.
I want to lean on you. Will you be my mentor?
Yes, absolutely.
I love
absolutely.
it. I love it.
If you could change one thing in the education system, if the Bidens came up to you and said, all right, Ramona, what you want to change?
The testing. I hate tests. As a mom, as an educator, I don't think a test defines a child. I don't.
Facts.
It doesn't define a child.
Facts.
And I think it's great data, but I think we lean too heavily on it sometimes. Right. I hate the testing. It's
I
it's
bombed
too much.
In those testings.
Yeah.
But my life's pretty bomb.
Right. Yeah. Right. I never could show what I knew on a test.
Yeah.
But I got a pretty good bit up here. So
yeah.
Testing's got to go for me.
So
Agreed.
Husband, 4 kids, right?
4? 5?
4. Okay. 4.
She's like, don't be adding no
No,
extras.
you're one of 5.
I'm one of 5.
You're one of 5,
My kids would like a 5th, and Eddie goes back and forth on liking a 5th,
but you done.
No, 4's it.
No doubt, Mama has spoken. So, what do you do to take care of you? You know, we're big on the podcast on self-care. So, before we go to rapid fire, what do you do to take care of you, to make sure you're in a good place, to make sure you take care of your mental health? Because you came here today bubbly, excited. You walked in the house with a big smile.
Girl came in early.
Yeah, I love it. So what do you do, and what would you advise others to do to take care of themselves? And is self-care a priority? Is that something you focus on? Are you intentional, or are you just kind of...
So my kids know, like during the week, especially over summers, my kids know...
Leave you
Mama
alone?
needs don't come at me until 10:30. So one of you are 15 and 14, and you can help the 9 and the 4-year. Like, I need y'all to handle some stuff, because I have to spend the time in the Word, spend the time in prayer, listen to worship music, just to drown everything out.
Yeah.
But if I'm not right, my self-care is I have to be right.
Talk about it.
With
Vertically.
Him.
Right.
Before
My
you can
vertical
be right.
has to be
horizontal.
in line before my horizontal can do anything. And that's the biggest thing for me, is diving into the Word. That's my biggest self-care, is taking that time for me where it's uninterrupted time with my Father, and I can just let it all at His feet and know that He's got me.
You can brain dump with him.
I brain dump with Him a lot.
Yes, you can.
I brain dump with Him a lot, and
Amazing.
I'm so thankful
So
that
that's the
He
key.
doesn't judge my brain dump.
And it makes sense. So because if they listened to the first episode, they would have thought, oh, she's an anomaly. Oh, man, she's weird. Like, she's next level. She's crazy. Like, how could she get bit? And if y'all were disobedient, or you just didn't get a chance because you was really loving this one, but you didn't go to part 1, the kid not only bit her, but like latched on.
Yeah.
Like, she took the kid down the hallway, like, and for you break your thumb, but then you move your broke thumb behind you and
going.
continue to teach for the next 15 minutes, it's obviously, you know what I'm saying, a greater power
It is.
that's within you. Like,
It
greater
is.
is he that's in me than he that's in the world.
Absolutely.
So it makes sense when you're like, I need that time in the morning to make sure my alignment is right so I can be straight out
Yeah.
here. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, well, let's see. With all that power, let's see if you're ready for rapid fire. How about that?
All right, let's see if I'm ready for this.
All right. You got 60 seconds. Actually, hold on. Everybody calm down. Hold on a second. Where's my clock at? Okay, now you got 60 seconds.
Ready?
Actually, I wasn't. I am now. Let's go.
Go. Okay. What's your favorite carnival food?
Ooh, funnel cake.
Facts.
Okay.
My girl.
Say "Good day, mate" in your Australian accent.
Good night, mate.
Good day, man.
If you could travel back in time to one period, where would you go?
The Jurassic. I want the dinosaurs.
Oh,
I
that's
do.
a new one.
I want the dinosaurs.
Okay.
Behaviors. Okay.
There we go.
Do you snore, Ramona?
I do.
Fact, yeah. Tell the truth.
First celebrity crush.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, okay. What does a person need to be happy?
Love for themselves.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Step by Step or Family Matters.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
Back and forth on this.
Yeah.
Texting or talking?
Oh, texting.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat an animal cracker?
No, those don't count.
Right. Hey, that's time. Ramona, wow.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for hanging
That
out
was
with
amazing.
us.
Thanks for having me.
I had so
It was
much
a
fun.
blast.
I'm so glad that you could come.
Yeah.
I told you
Me
that
too.
you would love her.
Oh, yeah. No, you got the juice.
I told you.
Yeah.
I told
Tori
you.
said the bar hot, but you definitely
Yeah.
blessed our people.
Yeah.
Your perspective, your heart for those kids, not just the average kid, but those who are really struggling, really challenging.
Yeah.
It's special, that God has been using you in a powerful way. And I'm glad you answered the call.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
so much, guys.
Thank you so
You'd like
much
to come back and
for
hang out.
Absolutely.
being strong for all of us, but also showing us that it's okay to not be strong sometimes. And
I'm glad I could do it.
yeah,
I'm glad I
it's
could do
been a
it.
blessing to work side by side with you, ma'am.
Same
So.
doll.
Yeah,
Same.
I love it.
Yeah.
If you all enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. If you're watching us on YouTube, let her know how awesome she
Yeah.
is. Okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna go
for
to the
real.
comments, show us some love.
Yeah.
Leave us a 5-star review.
5 stars.
Yep, show us some
Absolutely.
love on iTunes,
iTunes. Podcast.
Apple Podcasts.
There it is. I was
Y'all know
like,
what I mean. Keep me straight. Keep me straight. Yep.
I was like, we producing music?
Right.
He was making sure you were paying attention.
Yes,
The
I was.
soundtrack of life. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Peace.